Hello, I'm Kate Gardens, and this is our weekly apartment market update for Friday, November 2nd, 2012. This week we will look at assessed values, compared to market values, for apartments that have sold in the Tri-County market, over the past dozen years. In addition to this video, we posted an article on our website, unimaginatively called, Real Estate Taxes. It has a lot of useful tips, so you might want to check it out, after you finish listening to me. With apartment prices climbing so much in the past year, we didn't think many properties would be assessed for more than they sell for. It's okay to have an opinion, but we like numbers. So we looked at all the sales that closed so far this year. We found out our assumption was wrong. So far this year almost 20% of the sales were assessed for more than they sold for. They were over-assessed by an average of 22%. Ouch, that must hurt. So, let's take a look at real estate tax trends, in more detail. Real estate taxes, in the Puget Sound region, increased 66%, between 2000 and 2011. They increased even faster in King County. This increase would not be a big problem for investors if revenue increased just as fast. But, unfortunately, it didn't. Effective gross income, meaning the total income, after vacancies, concessions, and credit loss, climbed just 35%, between 2000 and 2011. That's almost one-half the rate of tax increases. As a result, in most counties, investors are using a lot more of their gross income to pay taxes. Region-wide, investors paid out 7.5% of collected revenue for taxes in 2000. By last year, it had jumped to 9.5%. Kitsap and Thurston counties are the exception. One reason taxes eat up a larger share of revenue today is that properties are assessed for a higher percentage of their value. A simple way of looking at this is to look at actual sales. It is a pretty good bet that sale prices reflect market value. So we looked at assessed values for all properties that sold since the beginning of 2000. The chart shows that, between 2000 and 2008, the average apartment was assessed for only 70 to 80% of what it sold for. Then things changed. In 2009 and 2010, the average property sold for less than its assessed value. And even though assessed values make more sense today, compared to prices, they are still higher than they used to be. Okay, these are just averages. Things change over time. However, when we looked back at all the data, we found that, even between 2000 and 2008, when the average assessed value was lower than in more recent years, there were still 5 to 10% of the sales assessed for more than they were worth. So what you say? That's a low percentage. True. But it still hurt, if you were the one over-assessed. Things were a lot worse in 2009 and 2010, when somewhere between 40 and 65% of the sales were over-assessed, depending on where they were. I have to ask. Were you appealing your valuation then? It looks like you should have. Things have gotten better. So far this year, only 20 to 35% of the sales were over-assessed, depending on where they were. The average over-assessment was 22%. That's only a couple $1,000 of extra tax payment on a $1 million property. Or, $20,000 on a $10 million property. If those numbers don't matter to you, let me give you my mailing address. You should make your check payable to Patty and Mike. Still not convinced you should pay a lot of attention to your assessed value? It could happen to any property, large or small, old or new. This chart shows that owners of larger properties are not over-assessed as often. But even these owners run a significant risk of being over-assessed. As the article that goes with this video shows, a lot of these larger property owners have a very proactive plan for managing their real estate tax costs. And, this chart shows the percent of properties, broken out into various age groups, that were over-assessed, between 2000 and 2011. Newer properties were hit the hardest, because they suffered the most in the recession. but it is clear that all age groups were impacted. There's no guarantee you are overassessed. But it is clear that there's a risk, in every county, regardless of the size or age of your property. Well, that's all I have for today. Patty, Mike and I hope you found this video useful. You will find a lot more information in the article on our website, called Real Estate Taxes. It is a long article, but it contains a lot of helpful advice from tax appeal experts. I hope you will come back next week for a new update video. Goodbye, and have a great weekend.